Good morning, pals. Welcome back to 100 Miles, 100 Days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya. We've got 10 more days to go till our Disneyland trip. So what we do is we walk a mile every day. I edit that down to about 20 minutes so you have a good time for a workout with me. And we talk about Disneyland, all things Disney, and this trip that we're going on in 10 days. So come take a walk with me. Let's go. All right, pals, you ready for this? Here comes the countdown. Come on, everybody. Here we go. And let's ramp it up. Getting that little extra beep in there every time, starting out a little bit faster than we have in the past. Because after all, today is day 90. We've walked 89 miles so far. After today, we will have walked 90 miles. 10 more days to go until our trip to Disneyland. I'm super excited to get to take you guys all along on that trip with me. And I can't believe it's day 90. It's, I mean, who thought we would get this far, right? 100 miles at the beginning seemed very daunting, and now we have gone 90% of the way. I am getting super excited about the trip coming up, and I'm also just like getting myself to that place where like I am overwhelmed because I only have 10 more days to get ready to go on this trip. And you know, as I started talking about last night on the live stream, I kind of start doing this nesting thing where I start gathering all of my things that I'm going to be taking on my trip with me. And it's just exponentially harder, I guess. There's just exponentially more this time to remember about all of the equipment that I need to remember to bring with me. So the camera and all my little accessories that go with the camera and my computer and all of that stuff. And, you know, Chris and I have taken a couple of trips during this whole quest. And I have edited and uploaded from a hotel room before. So I know that I can do that. And it'll just be a matter of, you know, I don't think I'm going to be able to get something out that day, that 100th day that we're in Disneyland, but it'll be the next day. So I was thinking about that earlier because when we get into the Disneyland app today, I'll show you that starting maybe even Friday, the park hours are extending. So if we're going from rope drop to close, we're going to be there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, which doesn't really give me enough time to edit a video that day. So, but the next day, that day that I am going to sleep in and take off. All right, so let's go ahead and see what Disneyland is doing without us today. So let's go ahead and open the Disneyland app. And we'll wait for it to go through its opening screens. Then we're going to click that plus button down at the bottom. And we're going to click the bottom Book Lightning Lane entry, the bottom choice on that menu. It's going to open up to My Day. So you see that at the top. We're going to click over to Tipboard. And we're going to see what Disneyland is doing today, March 4th. It's a Wednesday. It is almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and looks like we have a pretty light day. Nothing too extreme so far. Indiana Jones has a 50-minute wait. We talked about this last night. Any of you who didn't see it, you should go back and watch our live stream. We talked about the Indiana Jones ride a bit, and you know, sometimes Chris and I do interpretive theater, and it is enjoyable for everybody. If you were there, you know. But today is the 31st birthday anniversary of the opening of the Indiana Jones ride. So that's expected for it to have a little bit of a longer wait time today. It's probably getting celebrated in some form at the park. But you can see that everything else is pretty light. Not too bad at all. Peter Pan is at 30 minutes. Pirates of the Caribbean is down at the moment. That right there will also send a lot of people over to Indiana Jones. Roger Rabbit is at 35. That's going to be closing down for refurbishment here pretty soon. Space Mountain is at 50 minutes. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is down at 45 minutes. So, you know, we can look at a lot of these bigger rides, as you guys have been learning. If those rides are down at those kind of times, it usually indicates that it's a fairly doable day in the park. Also, we're right in between festivals, so what tends to happen, so that Lunar New Year, the festival just ended at DCA at the end of the week, 2 days on Friday, the Food and Wine Festival will be starting. So a lot of times that week in between can be a little bit of a downtime for the parks. They do have the 70th anniversary celebration nights going on this week. So the first one was last night. There will be another one tomorrow night. The parks close early on those 2 days, or Disneyland itself closes early on those 2 days and then opens up for the special ticketed event. And that can slow down the days in the park as well. So let's go ahead and click over to DCA. And looks like Golden Zephyr is down, Goofy Sky School is down. Guardians is at a 75-minute wait with Lightning Lane Multipass sold out. I looked at that earlier. It's been sold out since about noon. Incredicoaster's at 60 minutes. Radiator Springs is at 55. So they're having a pretty standard day as well. If we go back to that main page and we scroll down to where we can look at the hours for today, you'll see that Disneyland Park is open from 8 to 10. So one of the things I wanted to show you is that I believe starting Friday, the hours are starting to extend for the upcoming spring breaks that are going to be starting to happen. So you'll see that Friday it's open from 8 to 11, and DCA is open from 8 to 9. This also is a common thing for the weekend, that they extend the times as well. But if we look at Monday, which would be when the time would revert back to not an extended hour because it's not a weekend and it's an off time. You can see that Monday the 9th, it's open from 8 to 11. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that. And that continues throughout the week. So by the time we get there, we get the extended hours from 8 to 11 on the 15th and from 8 to 11 on the 17th. The refurbishment calendar goes all the way out to the 15th of April now. And you can see what is going to be down in April. So this is a good way to be able to keep an eye on what is going to be up and what is going to be down during the times that you are going to be visiting the parks. Because, you know, I know how difficult it is when you plan something as far ahead as like this trip that we have planned. You know, we planned this back in December, knowing that we wanted to have the 100th day, the 100th mile be in Disneyland. And so it dictated a day for us. And I know how that is when you are booking vacations, that your dates get dictated because of for whatever reason. That's where I've talked about in the past about managing your expectations when you go to the park. So if you know how to keep yourself informed on what is going to be open, what is going to be closed. You know, I also watch a lot of vlogs from people who go to Disneyland regularly. So I can see things like that Main Street has some scrim and scaffold up, and they're doing some repainting, most likely on some of the facades. And will that be down when I get there in 10 days? I don't know, but I can set my expectation to not be, I can set my expectation because I know that when I walk in the park, that's a possibility. And Disney does things overnight all the time. So the ride that you think you're going to get that day might be down. And it's the luck of the draw, and it's one of those things that we've talked about before where the joke starts to become, well, it's a good reason to come back again. And I know not everybody gets that opportunity, and so it can be disappointing when you get to your vacation and your favorite ride is not available. But learning how to use the app, learning where to look for those kind of things, you can always open up a chat with a cast member on your app to ask specific questions if you can't find it on your app. There's always someone there to help you. Whether you're in the park or not, I have used my chat feature on my app sitting in my living room in Oregon because I had a question about something and I didn't know where to find it on my app. So just learn to use your resources and don't be afraid to ask questions. Anyway, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the next part of that Goofy patch that I'm making. So let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start another stopwatch. We're going to do Goofy's face this time. I'm just going to finish as much of his face, or all the pieces that I need to put onto his face. And we'll just see how long that takes. So let's go ahead and start the stopwatch. it took me a minute, you know, just to kind of get everything set before I even started stitching. One more thing, I will put his nose on camera. That kind of gives you the idea of how long each one of those takes, because that was about what 6.5 minutes between doing the eyes and his nose. It was about 5 minutes each for his socks. It took me off camera. It took me about 5 minutes each for his gloves, and then each of the bigger pieces takes 7 to 10 minutes to do each big piece. The body piece takes a lot longer to do, just because there's so many tiny little stitches. But so yeah, it all adds up. And but that's where we stand right now, and we'll come back in just a minute. All right, so you can see that I've done some of the embroidery on his face. I needed to do that off camera because when I'm trying to do it on camera, I have a really odd angle that I'm working at, and it's really hard for me to get the right curves when I'm working on something like that without holding it close to me. So I wanted to be able to get those correct so that I could put his teeth in. Now he looks like Goofy. But when I keep showing him, I'm showing him like this, like he's doing the splits, but he's going to be like this. He's like, I'm taking a big walk with Tanya. All right, we will move on to the next part of embroidery. There it is, 1 mile. Good job, pals. All right, pals, fantastic job again today. Day 90. We've done 90 miles. I'm so proud of you. Thanks for joining me on 100 miles, 100 days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya. That's my Moai. He's the one wearing the ears again today. If I can get him to stay in shot. There he is. and we'll see you back here again tomorrow. Bye, pals. We have just very small time. And let's see what Disneyland's doing without us today. And I need to turn my microphone on. I gotta start this all over again.